Hi, this is BZ Regan. I'm doing a rambling by the river. I'm on the Stillaguamish River. And I was nudged to do a rambling about the expansion of our visual acuity and how that is unfolding, how it looks, how it shows up, how it's a tool, how we can see it and play with it and bring it forth more fully at our direction, at our command for specific things that we want to see or look at or connect. And what I'm speaking of is I guess what I would call our quantum, our multidimensional visual acuity. So not just, the ability to see things sharply or colors, in the usual linear sense. One of the things I would describe as some of the patterns you can see that the rock and the water flowing, the river flowing around, it's making, and I'm looking at it backwards, but it's making 5 or 6 distinct patterns. And if I watched them, I could sort which thing was making the shift in the water flow to make those different patterns very clearly, and they even read as different colors to me. So that's just a very simple example of what I'm talking about. But our visual acuity is morphing and changing, expanding, and coming online, coming alive would be a good way to describe it. And for me, it's not only more crayons in the color box that I can see, bigger peripheral view that I can see, but also what that means is you can see little, like picture-in-picture focus of something and the bigger picture at the same time, and distinctly and very clearly see that everything is related to everything else. Everything is perhaps a small section in the picture that is directly related to everything else. And as you start to see certain ripples unfold, you can sense and see what is that's causing those ripples and how those ripples are affecting something else. So there's a lot going on right now. It's May 28th, 2019. A lot going on in the United States, all over the world actually. A lot of shifts and changes in governments and beings waking up all over the planet, making their voices heard, and the clarity of their voices being heard, even by those who prefer not to hear them at all, is resounding. So that acuity of vision relates to all of those things. If one has the thought, well, nothing's happening, the visual acuity will help you see that couldn't be further from the truth. Because again, you can see the ripples, you can see the current and how things are connected. But what I wanted to play with it, more than just seeing all the little pieces and all the little maneuvers and all the different chess pieces and chess moves about all of this false construct falling apart, crumbling, And that's very important, very helpful, very fun, and really for me, it just shows how sublimely beautiful all of the different roles that all of us played so intricately and so nuanced and with such unbridled passion and complexity. And yes, in the most delicious, loving, expansive things, in the most horrible, devilish, despicable things, absolutely, in all of that, because it's all expansion. We're not small, and it's not a linear path. It's not just it's not what we've been told at all. But for me, what's even more beautiful is the visual acuity that's coming online for all of us. That's always been there, and as we expand our consciousness, as we allow ourselves to choose the channels and the flows of consciousness that we wish to be in, that we choose our vibrational frequency consistently and clearly, then we're tuning up that visual acuity, and it's like seeing for the first time. And not only seeing, where I might look and say, well, there's a river and there's water and there's some light coming down on a rock, and that kind of separate things that paint a little bit of a picture. But we're seeing everything. So in this moment, I'm seeing the river with my eyes. I'm seeing the river with my third eye. I'm seeing the river with all of my senses, and individual senses, and my multidimensional senses, and then all of them combined, because I'm seeing it as snapshot pockets of information, pockets of total capture of in the moment. And when I do that, I realize that each moment is alive. It's a reality. It is I'm not sure the best way to describe it. I feel they're all inaccurate, but it's a thought form. It's an energetic envelope, certainly, of consciousness and relational consciousness, connective consciousness, and when you're in that moment, you can, this is not accurate, but to use linear words, you can go back to that moment. You can pop open that energetic envelope again. You can pop open that reality, that frequency that you were, and dive back into it. And as we learn to notice and recognize and play with and dive into and expand on, I would say just the beginning strokes of our visual acuity, because I'm certain we will never get to the end of the heightening of our visual acuity, because it will just keep expanding. Hey, beautiful. But so, for example, in here with the different eddies and streams coming off, there's a freshwater aquifer that's coming off the mountain over here. That's coming in, and lots of other things. But if you use this as a metaphor, kind of what's playing out behind me, you can see all sorts of things. And as you see it, as you read it, as you tune into it, as you fully immerse yourself with that consciousness stream, you see all that it has to offer. So not just on the surface of the water, but underneath the water, in the sound, in the air, in the currents of the air current moving through. And so it takes nuance to a whole new level, and it takes the beautiful complexity of simpleness, or maybe the simple complexity of beauty, of brilliance, of anything. This could be stone structures, this could be man-made things. Unfortunately, my word acuity is not matching my desire to convey the vision acuity. It feels very important to connect with you about it, about noticing it and looking at what you see and how you ask yourself and direct yourself and connect with yourself to see right now in this moment. Very important. To me, it's a demarcation, a focus point for us to focus on how we see and move through that, because we have this small window in which to notice that and really develop all of that. Because as this window rolls forward a bit, we're going to be really, really glad that we have. And it'll let us jump into the hyper-dimensional, expansive jump that we're rolling right into, flowing right into. So, anyways, feel into it and play. And what do you notice? I'd love for you to share in the comments. And if you like the ramblings by the river, then subscribe and like. But share what you're noticing. Are you noticing differences in your vision and how you not only see but perceive things and move through things? And can you consciously focus on something and then notice more and more and more, and when you connect it and a thought arises or a feeling arises and you play with that, maybe like you could say it's something like someone standing next to you and says, "Oh, did you see that?" And you look a little bit more and you kind of just shift your line of sight, all of your sight. I'm not just talking about your eyes, all of your sight. Just a little one way or the other, and don't get run over by an Aussie. When you do that, you can see things that right that moment they weren't there and now they are. That's what I wanted to say. It's the visual acuity extends to you seeing you connecting with you listening, being instructed by, and immersing in a conversation more deep, more wide, more rich and beautiful than even to this moment you've ever experienced, even if you're used to doing that a lot. And so the visual acuity, it comes predominantly through the eyes, your two linear ocular eyes and the third eye. But that's almost like the lens, the focusing, and it pulls in your other multidimensional senses. It's really quite extraordinary. And it has so many surprises that unfold as you notice, and focusing, as you tune, instead of changing the focus on a lens and a camera, you're tuning your consciousness. You're tuning your frequency into that. And the visual acuity from a multidimensional way that rises up and unveils itself for you is really fun and fantastical. And those are pretty delicious for me. But I've noticed too that it becomes a great tool for seeing into the unseen, for seeing what was unseen, seeing what was unknown, seeing what was not understood before, or up to that moment. It's totally new territory, this extent that it's happening for me, so I don't really have a good handle on the metaphors and ways to describe it. But it's important and cosmically delicious. So I wanted to share it. I love you.